My name is Jeff St Laurent, and this is the Tuesday Live Show. And I'm fired up today, and hopefully you're fired up today, because today's topic is the no script presentation, which means that I'm not scripted. Well, I'm never scripted, and I'm going to encourage you not to be scripted as well when you do your presentations. And I'll explain what that means in a second. Before we get going, I do record all of these Tuesday Live shows, and I put them in my university on my website, sellingcoaching.com. Go ahead and check that out, as I help coaches transition to a full-time business, and I specialize in the selling aspect of it. I've been in business for 15 years as a full-time coach, and I wouldn't be in business if I didn't understand the skill set in the art of selling. And therefore, I apply that to all I teach and all I help with when I mentor coaches like yourself, as I help them create their full-time business. Right on the homepage of sellingcoaching.com, I have a fantastic resource for you, and that is called the, my new one is, it's launching your full-time business, the first 3 vital steps. So if you enter your name and email address, you'll get instant access to that. It's an audio course for you, so you can start to listen and learn from that as well. And right on at the top of every page at sellingcoaching.com, I have an invitation to my private Facebook group, and that's a great place for us to interact, ask some questions, share some of the stuff that you've got going on in your business, and interact with some great people as well. So with that being said, I'm going to talk today about the no script presentation. And what I mean by the no script presentation is taking it upon yourself to do a live presentation just like this that I'm doing right now, without thinking about what you're going to say prior to that. Now, some of you are like, well, like, I don't know if I can do that. And trust me, in the beginning, years ago, I didn't think I could do that as well. However, what I pushed myself to do was put myself in situations where I didn't plan everything out. And the reason for that is because planning everything out can be exhausting. Now, I'm not saying necessarily if you've got a seminar that you've got going on in front of people, etc., to just show up and do 30, 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours or more, and don't prepare for it at all. That's not what I'm saying. So let me clarify this a little bit, and we'll talk about some of the benefits of this and why I recommend this. As you might, if you are a student of mine, or if you follow me, you see that I do these Tuesday live shows, obviously every Tuesday at 12:05 Eastern. I've been doing that now for 4+ years. And then prior to that, before I transitioned to helping coaches transition to a full-time business, I had my life coaching business, if you will, True You Now. And I did live presentations every week, and it was like audio. I did some video stuff. It wasn't a live video broadcast like this, because that didn't exist that long ago. But I did calls for a very, very long time as well. So whatever the presentation is, it doesn't have to be a live video broadcast, or it could be that. It could be a podcast. It could be a call, anything live like that as well. But as you know, I do these each and every week. And that's an element, a structural element, that when anyone works with me as their mentor coaching client, that it doesn't mean I do that with everybody, but it's an element that I would like to, or I at least broach with everybody. And I find which medium that works for them best. And maybe it's not a live event. Maybe it's a weekly podcast, as an example. Some people, maybe even something written, though I prefer to at least have something audio like a podcast, video like a live broadcast, or also audio like maybe a live call. Anything that's live, I'm a big advocate of. And I want you to put yourself in a situation with your coaching business from day one. And when I say from day one, meaning the second you decide or get the impetus to be like, I want to be a coach, and beyond just whatever happens, if someone coaches with me, great. But I want to be a coach, and I want to get paid for it. I don't care if it's part-time, full-time, anytime. If you want to make money coaching in any capacity, the second you have that impetus, I want you to start doing a weekly live event, podcast, ideally, a live video broadcast like this, or a live call. And the reason for that, mainly beyond anything else, is because you need to learn how to practice speaking and articulating your words and communicating whatever's going on up here, putting it together and packaging it articulately and intelligently and communicatively in the spoken word out to the world. And ideally a concise manner so that a listener can actually understand, comprehend it. Also, meanwhile, being likable, meaning, you know what I mean? You got to be likable. It doesn't mean everyone's going to like you. People might watch me and be like, this guy's crazy. I don't like him. And other people are like, oh my gosh, I love his energy or whatever it is. That doesn't matter. You just got to be you. So you're not trying to morph yourself and be something you're not. You're just trying to just be you. I show up here every week and I'm just me. If you don't like me, you're not watching right now, right? So the point is that you got to articulate that while being communicative and also being likable. And when I say entertaining, it doesn't mean you have to have an entertainment level to it, but whatever entertaining means is you've got to hold and capture people's attention, and you got to capture it and you've got to hold their attention with what you're speaking about. And that takes practice. And when you pull this all together, the tendency initially, especially when I see this with my clients and even from day one, before they even hire me, or when the first day they hire me, I'm just like, all right, well, why don't you get on, and do a live video broadcast and maybe use Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or whatever. I think even LinkedIn now has it or will have it, and do a live video broadcast. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, just get on and just say, hey, this is my first live broadcast and my name's Jeff and I'm freaking out and thank you very much, and end it right there. Like, that's all you have to do. And then after our first session, when I help them figure out their niche headline, helping who with what specifically and their message, like, so get on and do a live broadcast. And now that you've got some of the technical things out of the way, just get on and start speaking about, tell your story and tell why you do what you do as you launch your seminar and coaching company. Don't worry about how short or long it is, just go with it. And most people freak out, and they should freak out, because when I was in that position and if I had to do that and I was back 15 years ago, I'd freak out too. However, it's a must. So the reason for the weekly event, beyond anything, I'm not going to talk about the marketing. I'm just talking about this, you as a business person who wants to do this business where you want to earn some income from it in any capacity, is the number one reason for it is you've got to work on that craft each and every week, like I said, to articulate and communicate your message, and then be able to show your personality, whatever that means, on camera, over the call, just through your audio, or even with a podcast, right? And the reason I choose those mediums in order from most recommended to least recommended, most recommended would be video broadcast, a live video broadcast using Facebook, using YouTube, using Instagram or whatever. That's because it's the closest you can get to a live seminar event without actually leaving the house and being in front of people, because it's a live broadcast. And that's the ultimate setting. If you can't speak articulately and likability wise and all that good stuff, all the elements of a great presenter, and I'm not talking about language and maybe you speak too fast or too slow, or you have likes and ahs and ums and all the technical aspects of being a great speaker. But being a great speaker isn't about all that stuff, like with the speaker places where you go and you learn how to speak. I'm not knocking those places. They're great, right? But the point is that you just got to be yourself and speak from your heart and be authentic and aligned, and not be able to speak, not be able to withhold what you want to say, but be able to say it in a way that captures people's information. But if you can't do that, I hate to say this, but I'll look you straight in the eye through the camera and say, you can't succeed in this business. And I'm being definite about that. Is, yeah, you know what, you can run ads and you can just drive people into a funnel, and you know what, there's people that are successful doing that. I'm not saying you can't do that. However, even those people that are running those types of business where it's very virtual based, it's a lot of not hands-on, like, they still have a face within the company. They're still doing educational based marketing. They're doing live events like this, and it's video based or it's audio based, and people know whoever's running that ship, so to speak, whoever is the author of that course or whatever it is, they know that person. So I will look you in the eye and say, if you don't have the ability to do that, you won't be successful in this business. And I'm being bold and direct with you. And if you're not there now, it doesn't mean that you can't. How do you get there? It's doing exactly what I'm telling you. It's getting on and doing your first video broadcast when you're pissing your pants because you don't know what to say, or I don't know how to do a Facebook Live. My client the other day, they did their first Facebook Live 5 minutes before their call with me. She told me to do it before our next call. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't do it. And I waited till the last minute and I'm Googling how to do a Facebook Live and blah, blah, blah. And they figured it out. It's really not that hard. But for some people, it can feel that hard. But there's resources at your fingertips to be able to figure it out very easily and on your own. And if not, there's how many forums and resources and even just my Facebook group alone, sellingcoaching.com, or sorry, Selling Coaching, my Facebook group. There's plenty of people you can ask. If not me, ask me, right? So there's no excuses anymore either. So how do you get to that spot? If you're saying, okay, Jeff, I can't succeed unless I can present in a live format, video, face-to-face, whatever it is, and articulate my words and show my personality and be authentic. And I'm so not there. How do you get there? You start right there. You start with your first Facebook Live. You start with your first whatever. And it doesn't matter if anyone shows up because you do it. Maybe there's people here. There are people here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, right? But the point is that that's what you do. And each time you do it, it gets a little easier. Now, let's talk about the no script presentation. So now, Jeff, you're saying, I got to do this. I got to get on this live video broadcast, and I'm already crap my pants, and I'm sweating, and I'm popping anxiety pills, and it's still not helping. But you're also saying that you should get on and not have a script, saying just get on and talk about whatever when I can't talk about whatever. And you're like, maybe, Jeff, maybe it's okay with you because you're doing this for 15 years and you could do this week after week. Well, how do you think I got there? So let's just talk for a minute about the no script presentation and why I'm pushing you down that direction. And I will say this right now before I go into it. It doesn't mean that everybody that does it will end up being a no script presenter. However, let me just 1 second. So it doesn't mean everyone will be a no script presenter. And it also doesn't mean that everyone will want to present on video, because some people won't be able to present on video, meaning they'll work at being on video and they'll practice it. I recommend everyone's at least gives it a fair shot. Do it for 2 or 3 months every week. That's what, to me, at least a fair shot would be. Not like, I did it once and I sucked. Of course you sucked. It was your first time. And you'll probably suck the second time and the third, and you'll just suck less a little each time. And there's a certain point where hopefully that unsucking continues to the point where now you're good, and then maybe you're great, and then who knows, maybe you're even phenomenal, whatever. But the point is that not everyone will actually get to that spot. Not everyone comes across great on video, but give it a shot. Just the same as not everyone will be able to do a no script presentation, but work at it. And if you can't get there, then maybe you've got a script. Maybe you've got a little whiteboard that you talk from. It's kind of like a visual PowerPoint, right? Maybe you've just got your notes and you have your notes and you're like, all right, I got my notes and we've got a live presentation today, and I spent some time mapping this out. And the first point, and blatantly use it so you're not trying to like secretly look at a paper. Just talk about it. Don't be bashful about it. But why I want you to start off with the no script is number one, the preparation that it takes for an event like this, even just a casual weekly event, where I've got to start and think about, okay, what's my topic? And then what am I going to talk about? And okay, so how long is this going to be for? And maybe we're going to do 15 minutes. And you could do 5 minutes. You could do 5 seconds. If you have something enough to say, you could do 5 hours. But it doesn't matter about the duration of it at all. Typically, shorter is better. I think there's a great sweet spot between that 10, 15-minute mark. Once you get over that, you got to be a lot more specific and detailed. I like to stay in that 20 to 30-minute mark. And obviously I go longer if I'm getting more specific about things. But like now I'd have to cut this off now, which is we're probably at that just 12-minute mark right now. But I'd have to cut this off right now unless I was going to get more specific. I'm going to get more specific now so I can extend out maybe another 10 minutes tops, right? I can keep your attention. Anything more than that without detail isn't going to work, right? So number one, you need to, in terms of why it's important to have that no script, is you need to start to rely on your ability to create content in that moment. In other words, when you're preparing for that, and I'll finish that thought in a second in terms of preparing, when you're preparing content, you're thinking logically about it. And you're not, you can only tap into the logic, and the logic is in your head. And in your head, that's where fear, doubt, insecurity, and overwhelming feelings reside. And therefore, it doesn't mean you can't create a script and or what you want to talk about. However, you can't tap into, when you're up here, you can't tap into what's here. And what's here in the heart with your emotion and your passion, and it's aligning the head and the heart, right? That's a mind-body connection. But when you're aligned and you're authentic, this is what people are going to resonate, not with this. It doesn't mean this, the head, the logic isn't good information, but it's not going to connect with people the way the emotion will. And then when you're so focused on a script and you're in there, you're always in your head, and you miss the in the moment thoughts. You miss the in the moment emotions that can start to come out. And you'll never extract, and I'll say never, or it's going to be very challenging to extract greatness from logic. No athlete ever got in a zone by thinking about it. Because if they could just think about getting in a zone, and then everyone would just be in a zone because I'm thinking about it. Or I visualize it and I get on the court and now I'm in a zone. It doesn't work that way. It happens because I saw the ball and I just hustled after it, I dove and I went out of bounds and now the crowd's cheering and all of a sudden I take a shot and it goes in and one thing happens another and then I did a play and I just relied on all my practice and I just trusted the fact that everything I've done up leading to this point, it's going to show up when it needs to show up. And I do the move and I just do this phenomenal thing and I'm like, whoa, that was friggin' awesome. And the crowd gives it back to me. And my players trust me. And this is synergistic, something that happens that's magical. And it can never be duplicated if you try it a million times. It can never be duplicated. That's the zone. You can't get in a zone from a script. And that's one of the number one reasons why I want you to do a non-script presentation, because I want you to be able to get in a zone. I do this presentation right now. It's a non-script presentation. I don't know where I was going with it. I'm going where I'm going with it, right? And it's feeling good so far, right? But if I stop this at the end and I were to do this again in an hour right here, it would be completely different. And it probably wouldn't even feel as good. And you probably would feel the difference if you watch the two side by side or one after the other. Doesn't matter which way you started with. You'd probably say this one was better. Why? Because I'm giving it everything. I'm laying everything out there. I don't know where it goes. I'm not afraid to make mistakes. I've trusted myself. You just got to get to that spot. And that's where the number one reason why I want you to be able to tap into that. And you can't tap into that space from a logical space. You got to tap into it by just going out there and getting the ball and doing something with it, so to speak, right? And that leads me back to my first reason that I never really finished because of my ADD thoughts, but that's what happens sometimes with a no script presentation, right? Which is the preparation leading up to that. So not only that, but the preparation on a weekly basis to come up with whatever you have to come up with for content. Not only is the content not as great as when you tap into your emotion because you're in that logical space, which I just went over, but it's overwhelming to do that. And a lot of my clients, my mentor coaching clients who have prepared themselves for these events, when they've written it out, it's just, they're like, oh my God, every week. It's so daunting and it's so much effort. Now, there's some advantages to that because I'm the eternal optimistic person. There's some advantages if you have to go down that path. I mean, if I have to prepare that stuff, well, and I'm writing a whole bunch of stuff out, well, then I've got a script. I'd still recommend if you prepared it like that, still then once you were there that day, go in the moment. But then you've got this script. And if you did that every week for a year, well, now you got 52 weeks of preparation. Well, you can turn that into a book. You could elaborate on that. You could turn that into presentations that you're doing for live events with PowerPoints, and you could turn that into a course. You could use that as weekly posts. You could read that and turn that into a podcast if you read it conversationally, right? So there's ways of repurposing that content and pulling from that skill set, because not everyone necessarily has that skill set. Part of the reason why I don't do a script presentation is for me to sit down and come up with what I've just come up with now ahead of time is painful for me. I thrive in that moment. And when this live event, everything slows down for me and I can focus. Some people have a challenge with that. So however you can get to the non-script event, I still urge you to get there. And like I said prior to this, it doesn't mean everyone will end up doing the non-script presentation all the time. It works for someone like myself. It works for other people. However, I want you to try it. I want you to get to that spot and give it a real shot. Because what I found with doing this with my clients is even the people, and I'm telling you, even one of my most recent mentor coaching clients, like they were like what they wrote to me before they did their live video. I mean, it was hardcore, like the anxiety and the sweat and the physical reaction. They're like, and I'm reading it and I was getting anxious. I'm like, oh my God, like, and I appreciate them opening up to me. And I'm like, wow, they're really going through a very can I say, traumatic physical experience doing this. And I'm like, they still did it. I was super proud of them. I said, would be with anybody, but even more so for them because of what they're sharing with me. I know everyone gets nervous, but I'm like, wow, this was intense. And then I'm watching the video and I could tell that they were trying to work from a script because they prepared so much for it. And then they did it and I couldn't tell that they were nervous, but I'm like, next time I want you to try it and skip over all that stuff. Skip over the preparation, blah, blah, blah. And if you get nervous and if you sweat in your heart and anxiety, and just go with it and do it. And I got to tell you, it was the best video I've seen from them. Now, granted, it was their second one. But when I say that, it was the best video I've seen in a while from a lot of people, meaning, and I've seen people do all the time. Go to my Selling Coaching Private Facebook group. Say their video I would put next to any great video that anyone, they just spoke so articulately. They were calm. You didn't see any nerves at all. Their structure was just like, it was so structured and I knew exactly what they're talking about. And they took me through a journey. It was 7 minutes long. It was like a perfect length. And they spoke clearly, articulate. It was awesome. And now they're in that space. It doesn't mean that they'll get nervous, but they broke that barrier of, I can't do this, no freaking way, to, wow, I guess I can really do this, because even though I might now still not think it, I did it. And based on everyone's reaction, wow, this is really good. And that's what I want for you. I want you to get to that spot, because we got to be in a space as coaches to be able to respond and adapt. To me, that's what entrepreneurship is all about. It's responding and adapting in an unstable, unpredictable, dynamic environment. That's what entrepreneurship is. Versus an employee, it's just like things, well, it depends where you work, where you've worked, right? But for the most part, it's like I go in at a certain time, I leave at a certain time. I know when I get my paycheck and I know what it's going to be. And I know what the boss is going to say and what they're not going to say. And I know who's going to do what. I know when I take my lunch. And it's very, most jobs, let me just say that, it's a lot more predictable on a lot of things. Whereas here, we're just, it's very unpredictable, and we've got to adapt and we've got to pivot and we've got to do, but we've also got to move. We've got to take thoughts, we've got to turn it into something, we've got to create something from nothing, and we've got to move to get paid. And that's why I want to teach you to be in that space more, even if it's very uncomfortable. And don't expect it's going to happen overnight. That's where that repetition comes in. My last live show that I did last week, I talked about the repetition factor. I believe it was show number 161 if you want to take a look at my university. But it was that repetition factor. And it's taking what I'm doing now, it's putting all this stuff together, right? It's taking what I'm talking about now and starting to do that, but doing that consistently over time. And the great part about it is that, especially when it comes to content, a lot of people are so, oh my God, what am I going to do for content? What am I going to talk about? That's probably the number one thing I hear from my mentor coaching clients and the people that I speak to when they have to start creating some type of content for their audience is, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? When you learn the no script presentation, meaning you just trust that it's going to come out, I always like to say, I can't wait to hear what I have to say on the live event today, because I don't know what I'm going to say. Like, I know the topic, and of course I have ideas. Of course I have thoughts on where it can go. But how it actually comes out, like, I don't know what's going to actually come out. And some of the stuff surprises me, and that's the good part about it. But the point is it's getting to that spot where you trust yourself enough to take that spot and move it forward. So hopefully this has been helpful for you and you've received something from this and I made sense today. And if not, don't worry about it, because there's always another one. And that's a great lesson that you always have is like, I know I've had shows sometimes, or I know I've had calls where in my head as I'm going, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just like, where am I going with this? Or I'm talking in circles, or you get to that spot where I'm just hovering and I'm like, kind of which way I'm going to go. Or I have to repeat myself, or I lose my train of thought. But that's okay. That's what live is. Like, live is live, not because it's planned and scripted. Live is live because it's in the moment. And that's why I said if I did this show now and then I did it an hour later, it's a live event. It should be completely different, even though there might be some similar themes running through it. If you go to a basketball team with the two same teams playing each other again, fundamentally it's the same two teams doing the same thing, 5-on-5 playing basketball. But the whole element and the feel and the game and the crowd, there's a whole bunch of different stuff that happens as you go through it. And that's what I want this to be for you.